Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
Greg Olsen admittedly was one of my fantasy sleepers that I really thought was can't miss last year. Jay Cutler was coming to town. There was a high need for somebody to catch the footballs. They really didn't have any proven receivers, and so it just pointed to me that Greg Olsen was the guy that should get a lot of catches. He even became Jay Cutler's drinking buddy in the offseason last year, so it just seemed like, hey, these two guys get along. That means he'll throw the ball to him. Olsen definitely should be the guy that's worth having. Well, Olsen did have a better year, I believe, in all major receptions, yardage, and even touchdowns. He had a decent touchdown total. But really, for as much as expectations as he was having really across the board in a lot of people's minds, he was a disappointment. He just didn't rack up enough receptions, enough yardage to be the kind of guy that we all thought he could be, a guy that maybe threatens for close to 1,000 yards. It seems like he's threatening 600 yards instead of that. So that's really not the guy that we were hoping was going to shake out of here coming out of college. There was hope for the future coming into this offseason. Well, that hope was crushed in January when Mike Martz came riding on into town, and with his offense, he just doesn't like to use tight ends. We saw this with Vernon Davis a couple years ago. People were starting to say, hey, Vernon will be relevant. They're in a pass offense. Well, he doesn't use tight ends, and he wasn't, even with that team. And then we didn't see anything with the Lions. We didn't see anything really with the St. Louis Rams in all his time there for tight ends being fantasy relevant. And right now, we're not going to see it again with Greg Olsen, as they're saying that, really they're starting to knock him for his blocking abilities. And, there was talk maybe of a trade this offseason. So just not good things all in general. And Mart's offense, it's just not going to happen. I can't see that happening. So I would say stay away from Greg. That's unfortunate because he has the talent to be fantasy relevant every year. But this is just not happening for him, and it looks more and more like he's probably going to be a bust, or he's going to have to find his really good success maybe a little bit later in his career via a trade, or maybe Mart's getting thrown out of town after this 1 year.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy football.